Welcome to Alternate Universe, where everything is as natural, recycled, local, and ethical as possible. I'm your host, Kim Smith. You may know me as kimsmithhappy all over the interwebs, and I own and run a local yarn store near Bristol in the countryside. And I also have chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, and I'm a huge knitter, spinner, crocheter, dyer, all those kind of stuff. I also make yarns and illustrations and all kinds of stuff that you might know under the name of Art=Happy. This is my first proper podcast. I've done vlogs before, but I wanted to do something a little longer, something a little more chill, where it's just like me and you talking to each other, hanging out. And hopefully you'll be chatting to me in the comments and we can get a little online community going, because the local shop has a wonderful community and I met some incredible people in the shop, and I would like to just extend that a little farther. So here we go. So each episode is going to be divided into a couple of different parts, including what I'm working on, whether that's spinning, knitting, dyeing, darning, crocheting, you know, whatever. We'll go through that, and we'll go through any finished objects that I have. If it's a particularly slow week, I'd like to do a finished objects from the vault, so one of my favorite things that I've made. And then I'll go into a little bit about what's new in the shop. I run an actual real-life shop near Bristol, and I'll go through what we've got in stock, and then if there's anything new online as well, I will talk about that. And then, because I'm a huge nerd, there's a segment called Let's Get Nerdy, where we talk about anything that I'm watching, reading, listening to, loving, and that's sort of inspiring me at the moment. So let's get nerdy later. And then, because ethical yarn is so close to my heart, and I've based my whole business around that, I'd like to take a little bit and we can talk about where the yarns come from, the pros and cons. Obviously not everything is going to be perfect, but let's talk about it. Let's open that discussion, because I'm always learning and I'd like to hear your opinions on these things. You know, the debate over superwash and that kind of stuff. Talking about who makes it, where the yarn comes from, whether things are treated right, that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that there's one hard and fast rule for all of these things, but I'd like to open up a discussion, because I'm always learning and I'm always trying to find ways that are healthier for the environment and the world and the people and the animals that live in it. So if you have any recommendations of ethical yarn, always let me know in the comments. I'm always looking for new exciting yarn to try, and hopefully you'll come away with some recommendations from me too. All right, let's get started. So let's start with some spinning, because I have been doing a lot of spinning recently, and I recently did a video with my mom where we talk about all of our works in progresses, and we didn't really talk about any spinning. So let's start with this. This is a skein of double knit to Aran weight, and oh, I just love it. It's so pretty. I actually got this blended up, this fiber blended up for Halloween, but they were super busy and it came too late to sort of do a nice big update. But I blended up some fiber at a UK mill in West Yorkshire? In Yorkshire. Somewhere up there in Yorkshire. I can't remember exactly where the mill is, but I got it blended up. It is Shetland, Blueface Leicester, and linen. Now there's a red sort of linen and an orange linen, and then the rest is wool. And it was so interesting spinning this because of the different textures between the linen and the wool. I'll just let you have a little better look at that. It is so beautiful. Now I just spun this as if it was wool. So I have spun linen just on its own, like wet spun. But, oh, this is so beautiful. I love all the different colors. I think it gives a really wonderful shine to it. The linen gives a really wonderful shine. and the more you wash it and wear it, the more the linen will soften up. So I think that's really exciting. I think it's going to make it really strong as well. But yeah, I just wanted to play around with it because obviously I don't want to sell anything in the shop that I haven't tried or that I don't know is going to work. So this was an experiment for me. I have a bunch more of this, which is going to go up in the shop eventually. And I have actually been spinning this, but slightly different. Let me show you. Oh, it's down here. Sorry for the grunting and groaning. I'm an old woman. So this is a bobbin of the same sort of stuff that I have been spinning up. Let's see, hopefully it's focusing. Now it's kind of hard to see, but I've done this in stripes. I separated out the different components, and what that does is it gives it, there's also like a bright orange there. It gives it a really bright stripe effect, but also there's teeny tiny bits of the other fibers poking through, so it's got like a bit of a tweed. I'm really happy with this. I think I'm gonna apply it up with a plain color, and it's gonna be sock yarn, so I'm excited to try and spin that up and see what these little tiny speckles of color turn out as. And I believe I believe that these are all, yes, that's right. I'm like I can't even remember what I spun. I separated out the wool from the linen, but I left little flecks of linen in here, so it's not like there'll be one stripe of linen. So I've saved that for another project, but I think this is super gorgeous. I'm super, super excited about it. And I don't know, I kind of just want to skein it up so I can see what it looks like in the skein, but I gotta be patient and apply it up. So that's what I'm working on. Spinning wise, I also have this cake, which hopefully you can see it. This was some fiber dyed by Porpoise Fur, and I can't remember if this is merino or I think it's superwash definitely, but Porpoise Fur is a UK dyer and she does lots of fiber, and I really, really love the colors. She dyed this up especially for Tour de Fleece this year, and I think this one is the one called the Giant, which is one of the mountains that the cyclists cycle over. And I'm not used to spinning superwash. I'm really not. I try and avoid superwash because my own personal feelings are, why coat something in plastic when that's super harmful? But yeah, I try and avoid it as much as possible. I would prefer to have a little bit of nylon in something rather than have it coated in plastic, but we can talk about that another day. I really enjoyed spinning it. I did find it harder to spin. I don't know if that was the superwash or the way that it was dyed, but I did love the gradient. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I spun this in singles and I way over twisted it. So I rolled it into a cake, and now I'm gonna apply it with a thin, probably machine cone wool, just to take a lot of the twist out and give it a little more strength. So yeah, I'm really happy with it though. It's really pretty, but yeah, I couldn't believe how twisty it was. I put it in the skein and soaked it, gave it a little bath to try and loosen it up, but that didn't really work at all, so it really needs to be plied with something. So that's what I'm working on spinning wise. I think that's all I'm spinning at the moment. Yeah, so let's move on to knitting, shall we? Now I have a million knitting projects on the go. If you saw my WYS podcast, you'll know all about the pile of works in progresses that I have. It's utterly ridiculous. But what I have been working on this week is, sorry, I keep looking down here because I've got my notes and I'm like afraid I'm gonna miss something. What I'm working on this week is some WYS Sock Spinners socks. Now we carry WYS Sock Spinners in Alternate Universe, our shop, so I'm always trying to find excuses to make samples. So this here is see if I can remember this. This is Tequila Sunrise on their signature 4-ply yarn, which is part of their cocktail range. I got all that in one go. And now this is 75% wool, 25% nylon. I'll give you a little close-up of the stripes there. Super, super beautiful. Now, I prefer to start my socks from the toe, and I prefer to do an afterthought heel, so I just knit like a big tube. But I tend to get kind of bored by the time I get to the cuff, so I always end up with like these fancy cuffs. So I've I've done these tiny little baby cables on the top here with a little bit of a rib. I don't know how well you're seeing that because I can't see the viewfinder at all, but let's hope you can see that. Now, this is a super easy rib to do. It's just a 2x2 cable, so yeah, like a 4-stitch cable. And yeah, so the toes are done in the WYS Structure Spinners Signature 4-ply Milk Bottle colorway, which is their white, creamy white, and that's what the toes will be done in too, I think, unless I break down and buy their sort of apricot-y color, which of course I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically this light orange here, which I love. I finished the first sock, minus the heel obviously, and I am on the second sock, and I have just started the cuff. So here it is. Let me show you. Here it is. Now, when I picked this up, after not doing it for a while, I got to this point and then realized that I had too many stitches, and I couldn't figure out why, because they looked exactly the same, and I put them up next to each other and did this thing where you like start at the toe and you're like, yeah, it looks great, they match perfectly, and I realized I'd done an extra round of increasing when I was doing the toe, so there were 4 stitches too many. So last night I fixed it, but I was just like it was one of those really stupid things where you're like, I know that this can be solved super easily, but I can't tell whether I need to rip it all out back to the beginning or whether I can get away with just like a sneaky little decrease. So I debated over that for a while. I ended up with a sneaky little decrease, and I'm really excited. They're super fun to knit. WYS Structure Spinners socks always go really fast, and that's been sort of my bag knitting this week. What I've just been carrying around with me in my bag, because I always like to have a pair of socks on the go. I don't know if you're like that at all, but I love having a pair of socks with me on the go. Super, super easy socks though, not some like complicated cables or lace or anything, because I can't do that while I'm talking to people at a pub or drinking coffee at a cafe or sitting in a movie theater. So that's what's on my needles. Let's see what else we got going on. The other thing that has been going on that has been taking up loads of my time is we are yarn bombing part of the exterior of the shop, and we're doing it in candy canes, so it's red and white, and we've been using this yarn that we basically got for free, and it's disgusting. It is a fake mohair or a fake angora, and it's super acrylic-y and gross, and I am just completely over it. I'm so tired of working with it. So I didn't really want to share it with you because it's super gross, but we're using it because a little old lady died and her husband wanted to do something with her huge stash, so he gave it all to us and said, can I have a little bit of money from it? So that's what I like to call recycled. It would otherwise have been put in the trash or something similar, so we adopt it and pass it on to people who are actually going to use it. Now we decided, sorry, that's a big sigh because I just hate the way that it feels. So this is it in a pom-pom. I don't know if you can tell, it's just super fuzzy. There's fuzz all over me now, and it just doesn't feel right. I think probably because I'm used to working with natural fibers all the time, and then when I come to working with something super unnatural, it just kind of sets my teeth on edge. Now, I 100% believe that there is a time and a place for every kind of yarn. Acrylics have its place. This probably has its place, but I just don't like it. Its place is not in my heart. But we have we like to do displays with this kind of yarn because it's effective. We can use a lot of it and it doesn't cost us anything. And it looks kind of cool from far away. It just looks like yarn, so it's fine. As this, when you get up and actually touch it, but like, it gives me goosebumps. But we have a knit group on a Sunday, and one of the ladies, her granddaughter, is the cutest little girl ever, and she comes in sometimes. I think she's like 9 or 10 years old. She might be I don't know. She's super, super cute. She's really tiny, and she loves drawing window display ideas for me. So I got her to make us some pom-poms for our Christmas tree, and this is what she made. So she made these really cute ones. She did an all red one, she did red and white, and then she did red, white, and green, which I thought was pretty cool. Excuse the noise in the background if you can hear cars honking or whatever. We are right next to a road, so yeah, there's not much I can do about that. Yeah, so these little pom-poms are super cute, and we put them on the tree, and I just had to share them with you because I thought they were adorable. Talking about tree decorations, we recently decorated a tree for a local village that was having like a little community tree festival gathering thing, and we decorated it with lots of little hand knit stuff. And one of the girls from knit group, I don't know if I should share her name, but she's amazing, and she knitted a tiny little pair of socks for the Christmas tree. Look how freaking cute these things are. Isn't it adorable? So I just found one because I don't know where the other one is. It's still on the tree, I think, but I couldn't find it when I was getting everything together. Look at this cute little sock. Oh my god, that's so precious. So this is actually WYS Spinner's 4-ply yarn. It looks so different because the stripes are really big on the sock, whereas when you knit normal stripes, they're quite little. But I love this. I love it so much, and she knitted it just like a normal sock. Now, I actually had some leftover sock yarn, and I made a little one. Obviously, I can't find it right now, but it's so adorable. I'm absolutely in love with this tiny little sock. Oh, I just love it. So cute. Okay, next we have darning projects. Now, I darn jumpers and socks and things for people, customers that come in and have a hole in their jumper that need fixing. I always make sure to tell them that my style of darning is of the visible kind, inspired by Tom of Holland and Rachael Matthews from Prick Your Finger, which I think now she's just Rachael Matthews because Prick Your Finger is closed now, I guess. That always makes me sad when I think about that. But inspired by those two guys, that's kind of how I learned how to darn. So I always make sure to tell them that, you know, it's not going to be invisible. You are going to know that it's been mended. But a lot of people love it and end up picking bright colors to go with it or whatever. Anyway, I had a jumper here from a friend of a friend who wore out her elbows, and I got to do that this week. Not only did she wear out her elbow, but she also wore out her underarms. So let's go through this. So this is the cardigan. It's a very finely knit cardigan. It's quite small and light. I don't think it's wool. It's probably like a mix of something. See, actually, can we find the content here? It is wool. It's 100% wool. It's got the wool mark and everything. And it was super fun to work with. It's so light. I think the reason why it's so light is that it's a very thin yarn, which obviously was a challenge for me when I was darning, but I loved it. So I fixed the, which one was it? This hole, this sleeve here had a huge hole. It was like that big in the elbow. So I made a little fix for it, and it's all pretty and done and everything, and I used 2 colors to give it a sort of mottled effect, which is what she wanted. And then I tackled the other arm, which had a tiny little hole, this tiny little hole here, she's there, but the rest of the fabric around it was wearing super thin, and I knew, like, if I gave it back to her, she would just be back in the shop like 2 weeks later, like with another hole. So I went ahead and strengthened the fabric around it by just sort of doing a half darn. I just went up and down rather than up and down and across. So just strengthen the fabric a little bit. There was also some more weak spots. So there was a weak spot around here where the cuff turns into the sleeve of the sweater on both sides, I believe. So I just strengthened that there where the problem was, and then the cuffs were also starting to fall apart. So I fixed it this way on this cuff, and I just did a tiny little fix on that cuff, and then this, which I love, this here turned out so beautifully. I think it almost looks like beading from afar. Are you feeling that vibe? I think it looks gorgeous. And then, of course, the underarms, which if anyone has ever darned, if you guys have ever darned an underarm, it's a pain in the butt. It's a pain in the armpit, actually. Now, once I finished that, I was just kind of in the mood to do some darning, and I was actually sitting in a cardigan that needed darning, that had holes all over it. And isn't it funny how the baker's son never has fresh bread, and the owner of a yarn store never gets a chance to darn her own jumpers? So I went ahead and spent a little more time on the couch and actually watched Vlogmas, which was great, and I darned my jumper, which has had holes in it for ages. So this is my little cardigan. It is just a secondhand sort of grandpa cardigan. I think I got it for like a couple of pounds. It does have the wool mark on it there, which you can see. It's a Marks and Spencer's kind of doohickey, and I really like it. It's just a staple color. I wear it all the time. So here are the little darnings that I did on my jumper. Now the sleeves are getting very thin, so I tried to cover as much area as I possibly could without it taking a super long time. I used a mustard colored, quite a thick yarn, because I'm not that bothered if it shows through or whatever. So that's that on this arm. And then on the other arm we had 2 holes sitting close to each other. There we go. Again, the same kind of thing. It was actually really great to sit and work on something that I knew wasn't for a customer, but that I could practice on. So there's another little hole there. Well, not a hole anymore, it's a darned spot. So this here, that little bit there. Yeah, so I practiced my armpits again because these had big holes in the armpits, and I feel a lot more confident now doing armpits. There's still a pain in the armpit, but I feel way more comfortable doing it. So here we go. So I kind of found a new to me strategy of doing it, and the more that I practiced it, the more confident I got. So that's really awesome. And yeah, I just really like it. Let's look at the other one too. Oh yeah, this hole was huge. Look at this hole. Look at this hole. It's huge. Come on. Look at this hole. It's huge. Really big hole. So I went ahead and fixed all that. I'm really happy with it. And I was just beaming from ear to ear when I finished it. I like came into the living room and I was like, Mom, Dad, I fixed a jumper. I fixed one of my jumpers. It just feels amazing. I never get a chance to sit down and actually fix any of my own clothes. So I'm super, super pleased with that. That's like the big project of the week. And I suppose you could call this a finished object, right? Right? Does that count? Okay, that's all I've got for what I'm working on at the moment, or things that I've worked on this week. But I do have a couple of, I think, what you would call stash enhancements. So this week a friend of mine took me out for lunch and a little peruse about the villages, and we went to a little cafe in Wrington. I think it's called the Little Red Beetle. I might be wrong, but they're super cute. They do a knitting group. I've never been to it, but they're super cute. They always bring people over here, and I always tell people to go over there, so it's really nice. And they have a little, well, quite a big gift shop section, I suppose you could say. And here's what I got. This is not really knitting related, but I thought it could go in because it's cute. So I don't know if you know or are aware, but I went to university for illustration. So when I see something that's really beautifully illustrated, I love to support the artist. So this is by Toby Brunson. There's the back for you if you want to look him up. And I love it. It looks like the penguin wearing a jumper. A Fair Isle jumper. So there you go. Fair Isle is actually probably my most favorite knitting style. So I love that. Had to get that. And then he also had a bunch of stickers. So I got this one. If you don't know, I am a huge Harry Potter nerd, and I love this. I thought it looked like a stag. Well, it is a stag. Which always reminds me of James Potter and the Marauders. So I had to get that, and I'll probably stick this on my sketchbook because it's pretty. Just because it's pretty. And then my friend and I went to Clevedon, and we went to the yarn store in Clevedon called the Spinning Wheel, which has been there for a bazillion years, and they have a huge haberdashery section and a huge fabric section, as well as spinning fiber and yarn too. They tend to stock more what I would call mainstream yarns, so I don't necessarily buy yarn from there very often. But it's a wonderful place to go into. It's big, they've got loads of stuff, and yeah, I usually come out buying something. And the people that own it are super, super nice. They are actually the people who started the Bristol Wool Fair. So yes, well worth a visit. And I got some yarn. I got some sock yarn. I am such a sucker, you guys. Look at these colors. Oh, it's so pretty. So I have actually knitted some socks in this, what's it called? Rome Fusion yarn before. It is by Wendy. I do not know very much about the company Wendy. I would say that it's a more mainstream company. On the label here it says that they are based in West Yorkshire, which is very interesting. Thomas B. Ramden. That may mean that their offices are in West Yorkshire, but their mill might be somewhere else. I don't know. I don't know where the actual yarn comes from, which normally would stop me from buying it because it doesn't say like British wool or anything like that. It says 75% superwash wool. So what the other 25% is, oh, here we go, 25% nylon. So this is not a great example of the type of wool that I like to use. It's superwash, which I don't particularly like, and it's got nylon in it, which to me feels like overkill on the strength. But having said that, I love the way that this is spun. It is a 2-ply. Well, actually, okay, technically it looks like it's a 3-ply. Yeah, technically it's a 3-ply. There's two main colors together, and on one of the strands it changes colors in sort of long repeats, and on the other strand it changes colors in small repeats. So you get this really interesting effect when you knit with this, and I believe this is the same yarn that I knit my BFF socks with Amy Florence, who also does a podcast called Stranded Podcast. She also dyes her own yarn, and she's been my BFF for years and years and years. And when she came to visit, we both picked up, I believe it was this brand of yarn, and knit the same pattern out of it. Different colors, but the same pattern. So I remember really enjoying knitting with it, mostly because of the way that it's spun and the color changes. So although I wouldn't buy this necessarily, like this is not my usual thing that I would buy, I do tend to overlook that sometimes when I want to support a local business. So, for example, when I go into Spinning Wheel, I like to support them a little bit. So I found something to knit with. Alright, the next thing I have for stash enhancements are actually from my birthday. Now, my birthday was Halloween, so this is a little while ago, but I haven't really integrated it into my stash yet. They've just kind of been sitting next to my bed and I've been admiring them. So the first one is this cute little bag. I think it was meant for notions, but I might use it as a little project bag for socks. Now, I adore this bag. It is my colors 100% all the way. Orange and browns and yellows. I could live in those colors. And then there's a little surprise inside. Look, skeletons, which suits me perfectly as a Halloween baby. And they're happy little dancing skeletons, and I love them. Now, this was made by the same friend that took me to the Red Beetle and the Spinning Wheel the other day. She is lovely. Thank you so much. And the other thing, well, two things really that I got for my birthday that I love is another knitted bag. Quilted bag. I've recorded this like 3 times, so quilted bag. I love this so much. It is sewn and the boutiques are beautiful. Not necessarily the colors that I would have chosen, but I love them, and they're kind of jewel tones and just absolutely beautiful. The craftsmanship in this is amazing. Thank you so much. And inside, this was specially made to fit the tiny little bobbins that go with my Shetland Haldane wheel. And Laura, who made this, she's got the same wheel as me, and well, a very similar wheel that take the same bobbins. And the only problem is the bobbins are super small, so we need loads of them because obviously they fill up so quickly. And she has a friend who does woodworking, and he made these especially for me out of recycled wood, as if they couldn't get any more perfect. And they're all super unique, super beautiful, and just absolutely perfect. And there's loads of them. You can see I've already tested them out and they work really brilliantly. Best birthday present ever. So these are from my mom and they're super beautiful. So now I've got lots of bobbins. All I have to do is fix my tension problem with my wheel and then we'll be set to go. I think all I need is a new drive band, so that should be fine. Now those are all the stash enhancements I have. So let's move on to what's new in store. So I have a shelf in my office that is full of what I call it my shelf of doom. Because everything on there needs my attention and only I can do it. And it's the kind of things that just never get done, but need to get done. So one of the things that's on the shelf all the time is products that I've made that are waiting for labels that I need to design. And I have been working through my shelf recently, trying to get things out into the store because I've got all these amazing products that have never made it onto the shelves. So one of those things is some Rolags that needed brand new labels, so let me show you them. So I've got 4 sets of Rolags here I'm going to show you. Let's start with the bamboo ones. Now, bamboo, I had no idea that I would have such a passion for vegan fibers until I thought to myself, you know what? If a vegan comes in here that only likes to knit or spin with vegan yarn, there's not really anything that they're going to be able to use. So I designed some vegan fibers. And so this is 100% bamboo. The colors were picked and chosen by me, chosen by me, and then mixed at a mill up in Yorkshire. Now, these colors are incredibly beautiful. I call this my French Quarter Rolex because all of the colors in these Rolex were inspired by characters from the Vampire Diaries. So we've got Davina, Niklaus, Cole, Rebecca, and Finn is the orange one. I was like, I couldn't remember the other brother, Finn. Now there is an Elijah and a Marcel that's not in this because I love these colors. It reminds me of Mardi Gras and just rich colors and witches and all that kind of stuff. So this is it in its little packet. Now the plastic is recycled. It came to us when you buy yarn. They often give it to you in plastic bags, and I'm just not about, you know, creating more waste. So I like to reuse those bags, and Rolex are really fragile, so they really need to be in a sort of packet or a container or something, otherwise they just kind of float apart, which is the joy of Rolex. When you're spinning it, you want them to float apart. But anyway, especially bamboo sort of fluffs up and falls apart really easily. So I designed these little labels for them. They've got the name, our logo, what type of fiber content it is, and then it's got the weight and the price and everything. So these French Quarter Rolex, you get about 5 in a packet, which works out to 50 grams for £8. And I absolutely love these. And then the more vegan fiber, we've got these tiny little punies, or like punis. If someone could tell me how to say that word, I'd be really grateful. But I found these a little bit harder to make, so I don't know, but I love them. So in a 25 gram pack, you get a gradient from purple to yellow, or from Elijah, yeah, because this is like a blue, from Elijah to Rebecca, you get a gradient. And they're £4 for these little guys, and they're super gorgeous. 100% eco bamboo. Again, let me show you the little labels. You can see all the details. Hopefully you're not getting much of a glare on there, but they are absolutely gorgeous. And I have spun with these. I've spun with everything in the shop. I can't sell it to you guys if I don't know it's going to be great. So yes, these are in store right now, and I will hopefully be getting them online as soon as we get a day where there's actual light, because it is pitch dark black outside, and I'm having to use fluorescence, which is not the best, but what you gonna do? Right, the other Rolex we have are mixes of wool and fiber, and wool and bamboo and nylon, and they're all delicious, yummy fibers. Let's start with this one. This one is called Green Bean, and it is 50 grams. Again, it is a beautiful combination of a sort of yellow green into a more green. Well, is it a pea green? I don't know. A more green with white, and then it goes through turquoise into a sort of teal color. It's absolutely beautiful. And the reason why it's called Green Bean is because from Once Upon a Time, the sort of Wicked inspired episodes, Zelena calls her baby Green Bean, and I thought that was adorable. So this is Green Bean. It has 8% British Welsh wool, 46% British Shetland, 21% British BFL, and 23% nylon for strength. Now, the reason why this has nylon in it is because some of these colors were originally mixed up with spinning socks in mind. So, yeah, but they're super, super pretty. I really love them. These are £7 for 50 grams. I can't remember if I said that or not. Absolutely love them. And although these look very different in their packets, they are the same sort of thing. But if it's a gradient, where it's going from one color to another in stripes or gradient within the roll lag, we like to display them like this. Whereas if each roll lag is different, we like to display them like this in their little pretty circles. So you're getting basically the same type of thing, but it's just the way we package them, really. So this one is pastels. So each of these colors here is a separate fiber that I've mixed up and then added white to get that really lovely sort of cotton candy effect. This one has 7% Eco Bamboo, 6% British Shetland, and 87% British Blueface Leicester. 50 grams, 6 pounds. Again, in shop now, will be online soon. All of these roll lags are 100% repeatable, so that's awesome. On the same track as fiber roll lags, we have some little taster packs, which are perfect for people who want to try a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this to give themselves a sort of smorgasbord tasting, basically. So we have 2 tasting packets in the shop at the moment. One is our Natural British Taster Pack, which has Black Welsh, Oatmeal BFL, Wensleydale, White BFL, and White Southdown. This is a great pack for someone who's a beginner and wants to try some natural fibers. Super gorgeous. There's 10 grams of each of those in here for the grand total sum of 2 pounds. You really can't go wrong. I absolutely love this. And then we have our vegan taster pack, because we've got quite a few different vegan fibers in the shop, and sometimes people don't want to commit to a whole braid of something that they never tried before. So here we have unbleached soybean, rose, recycled plastic bottles, believe it or not, bamboo, and then nettle right on the end, or rami. And again, really fabulous. Sorry, my chair is squeaking. Really fabulous for someone who's maybe spun everything you could think of and needs something a little more crazy and different to try. The recycled plastic bottles is definitely interesting. I love these little taster packs. These are in store right now and will be online soon. As soon as I can photograph them, they'll be online. So there you go. That's all from the making side of what's new in store this week. We do have some other stuff which I can show you. We have a couple of new sort of haberdashery supply kind of things. We've got a felting foam pad thing and, of course, a felting needle tool. So you use this to stab your fiber onto that. Basically, as a shop owner who's ethically minded, I find it very difficult to find notions that are ethically made or made from recycled material or eco-friendly or that kind of thing. So I like to support companies that support those ideals, if that makes sense. Let me know what you think. Do you think that's okay to buy this, even though it'll probably end up in a landfill forever, but it supports the British wool industry because it comes from World of Wool, which supports the British wool industry? Let me know in the comments what you think. I struggle with this so much. I go back and forth on it all the time, but you know, the customers want what the customers want, and if they need a felting tool, I'm gonna have to find it from somewhere. So if you have any suggestions of great notion haberdashery things that are handmade or made in the UK or eco-friendly, any of those good things, please let me know, because I have been searching for these things for 2 years, and this is the best I've come up with. So let me know. They're really great though, and just if you were interested in the prices, the felting needle tool is $10.50 and the foam pad is £3. In store only, I think, because you can find these online elsewhere, but maybe I should offer them online, because then you'd be supporting a British company. I don't know. Maybe I should. Let me know. However, something that I can promote with absolute confidence are WYS Structure Spinners pre-made socks. These things are absolutely gorgeous. I have worn and washed and sweated in and washed again. These gorgeous socks. Now these were washed in a washing machine but laid out flat to dry. Do not recommend you putting them in the dryer because they are 100% wool. I did these on a wool cycle and they have held up extremely well. They haven't shrunk at all and they are super comfy. I love everything about these socks. I was a little bit like, you're never gonna beat hand knit socks. But these are absolutely gorgeous. If you can't knit, or you can't possibly knit enough socks for everyone you love, I highly recommend getting some of these. They are $14.90 a pair. This is in the owl colorway, I believe. And this is the size large, which fit my giant feet. Please excuse the outdoor noises. We live on a main road because that's where the shop is. I can't really do anything about it, I'm sorry. It's like people that record in New York, like there's gonna be sirens. This is the inside of the sock. It's super fluffy and warm on the toes, soles, and heels. I was a bit worried because they were 100% wool. I was like, they're gonna wear out super fast, but they're not because they're super well enforced. Super amazing. As I said, $14.90, and they come in all of the birds colorways in small, medium, large, and all of the cocktail colorways in small, medium, large. Here's a little peek at all the different colors in the cocktail range. We have a bunch in store. We don't have every single color and every single size, but we do have a bunch. So if you're in the Bristol area and you fancy yourself some British made, beautiful, gorgeous, amazing, comfy socks. I wear them with boots all the time, and I also wear them in bed, so they work either way. Come find us. We've got them in store. Otherwise, check out West Yorkshire Spinners' website, and you can order direct from them too. That's it for me from what's in store this time, and so that just leaves my last section, which is Talk Nerdy to Me. What have I been listening to and watching recently? Well, I haven't been watching a lot of TV because it is Vlogmas, and I have just been watching everyone's vlogs, which I absolutely love. A couple of favorites off the top of my head are Wool and Vine Yarns, Inside Number 23, Rose and Rosie, whose channel that's doing Vlogmas is Roxetera. They're a really funny, they're not knitting related, but they're a super funny lesbian couple, well, girl couple, that I just absolutely adore. Excuse me. And who else is doing Vlogmas that I love? Last year, Fran Nerd was doing Vlogmas. Her and her husband, Ed, did Friendsember, which was my favorite, and I was kind of gutted that they weren't doing it this year, but I completely understand because it's a lot of work. I would absolutely love to do Vlogmas next year, and maybe I could do like a collaboration with another vlogger because I rest during the week. I've got chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, so we're open in the shop from Thursday to Sunday, and then on Monday to Wednesday I usually just rest and spend time in bed, so that wouldn't be terribly interesting, but it would be kind of fun to do like a one day me, one day you kind of Vlogmas, and then it would only be half the pressure. But anyway, I'm thinking about that. I would love to do it. So Vlogmas is what I've been watching mostly and catching up on podcasts because I am relatively new to the knitting podcast world. Not so new to YouTube in general, but very new to the podcast world. So I have been loving The Dyer's Notebook and Sockmatician. Who else have I been watching? Brooklyn's Knit Folk, I think is what they're called. I just love them. So that's what I have been watching. If you have a Vlogmas channel that you cannot wait until they upload their next video, let me know, because it's not like I don't have enough things to watch. Also, I have to share with you a book that I finished last week, I think. Last week. It's called 11/22/63, and it's written by Stephen King, and it is one of my all-time favorite books. I read it for the first time this month, and it is an absolute work of art, that book. I cannot recommend it highly enough if you like time travel, vintage things, Stephen King. It's not necessarily scary, but it does have a creep factor. It did give me goosebumps at one point. Like, it's an incredible, like, piece of writing, and I'm not really one to, you know, I mean, I like all kinds of stuff, but I just, as I was listening to it, I listened to the audiobook, I just fell in love with this character who I probably wouldn't have fallen in love with in any other setting, but because it was so well written, I loved it. So basically, a little summary of the plot, no spoilers, don't worry. This guy goes back in time and has to save Kennedy from being shot, which is the title of the book, is the day that Kennedy got shot. So he goes back in 1958 and he has to live in the past until 1963. And so it's all about how he gets to that point, how he discovers the portal, all that kind of stuff, and his life in the past. And it is just beautiful. The descriptions of the culture and the scenery and the cars and the clothes and the dancing, it's just, you feel like you're there, and I felt like I was there dancing with this character. It's absolutely wonderful. And his love interest, who only comes in like halfway through the book, is a tall, clumsy girl, and she's larger than life, and she's wonderful, and it was just so nice to read about a female character that wasn't vapid and stupid, and, you know, like, she was a real person, and I absolutely loved it. So I highly, highly, highly recommend, even though the main character is a dude. If you're into like feminism stuff, you might find it really interesting. And also, what else did I love about the book? I just loved so many things, and I don't want to give it away, but there is another main character, which is the past. So the past kind of acts as this companion to him throughout the book, and it's good, it's creepy, it's lovely, it's wonderful. Highly recommend. Go read it or listen to it. It's really good. It's really long. It's really, really good. The only other thing that I want to talk about in Let's Get Nerdy is, of course, Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. And if you haven't seen it yet, where have you been? It is absolutely great. I love it. I've seen it twice in the cinema. I want to go many, many, many more times. We went to the midnight showing, and the characters are so enchanting and charming, and the muggles, it's nice to see that the muggles aren't just like, oh, the Dursleys, the muggles. It's like there's actually a really great muggle character that you sort of fall in love with during the film. So I'm really happy about that. And as you might know, I made a little series of badges based on the trailer and the teaser, and now I kind of want to sit down and make a whole series of badges all about the movie. Those are online right now. You can grab them. There's just a smidge, which is what Newt says when he's caught with the suitcase. He's like, was your suitcase open? And Newt goes, just a smidge. There's also a whole bunch of badges that I made relating to Ilvermorny and Makusa, which are the American ministry and, well, the American Hogwarts basically, and the American ministry. So yeah, if you haven't read the little thing on Pottermore about Ilvermorny and everything, you definitely should, because it's really interesting, and it just gives you a little bit more depth into the like behind the scenes of the wizarding world, which is my favorite thing. Like, Harry, Ron, Hermione are great, but this might be controversial, but like, I prefer the rest of the world to their actual little trio. Like, I love Hermione, don't get me wrong. But yeah, anyway, so that's Fantastic Beasts. I also really, really badly want to cast on a Hufflepuff scarf, but I have been scolded by several people that I'm not allowed to start a new knitting project until I finish like at least 2 of my whips. So my flecky black gray and mustard yellow scarf will have to wait. This has been Alternate Universe. You're welcome to return to your own universe now if you wish. Otherwise, you can stay on my channel and check out more about the shop and behind the scenes of working in the shop. And I do some vlogs where I talk about my illness and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to get notified of the next video like this, click the little bell down below, which is right next to the subscribe button, and click the subscribe button so that we come up in your subscription box when we post a new video. And also give this video a little thumbs up if you want. It doesn't do that much in terms of getting my video out there, but it does help because then I know that you liked the video, and that's what counts. If you do want to help me get my channel a little bit bigger and help spread the word about the alternate universe that we have just been in, feel free to share this. Share this on Twitter, Instagram, etc., or leave a comment. That would really mean a lot. And always remember that life is beautiful and hard, but mostly beautiful. Mwah.